Good morning, everybody. You are listening to K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I am your host, Yoshi Shiraki, and our special guest today in studios, Jack Skilly, professional NHL hockey player, professional European League hockey player. I mean, everything. You've had quite the career. I had to Google you to read all, I mean, it was a long. It was a lot to read.
Yeah, it was quite the suitcase.
Yeah. So, very special treat for us here to have a professional NHL hockey player in studio. And I'm very excited about today's show because we're going to be chatting about, you know, a couple different things from success. I want to hear a little bit about Jack, and you turned pro at 20, correct? I mean, that's what I found on Google.
Yeah,
okay.
20, right around there. Yeah,
perfect.
so.
That is young, right? Or is that normal for hockey?
It's relatively normal nowadays. It was pretty young for that time.
Gotcha.
It was kind of right when the NHL was shifting to younger players.
Okay.
So I was pretty wet behind the ears.
Got it.
First experience going in the room and being around a bunch of grown men with wives and kids, and 20 years old, and didn't really fit in right away. It was kind of scary, to be honest.
Got it. So, did you come out of college? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, I played 2 years at University of Wisconsin.
Okay.
We were fortunate to win the national championship my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
Madison native too, so that was big for me.
Oh, heck yeah.
Finished out my sophomore year, felt like I was ready. Hindsight being 2020.
Yeah.
Pretty naive to think that way. Wasn't ready, but great learning experience turning pro and kind of being thrown into the fire right off the bat.
Yes. So you played 2 years of college, which means then you probably got drafted early, kind of like some, you hear, maybe I hear because I follow the NBA a little bit more, these kids that get drafted early, right? Is that basically what happened with you then? You're just like, hey, he's talented, let's pull him out of college and have him come play pros right now, kind of like the LeBrons and stuff?
Well, for my story, it was different. I felt like I was ready. I approached the GM at one of our rookie camps this summer where they allow guys to pay their way. If you're a college player, you got to pay your way.
Yeah.
The NCAA stuff. But I was there practicing with the other so-called rookies or the prospects.
Yeah.
And I caught him in the lobby, and he asked me how I was doing, how I was like in college, and I basically just told him I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Oh, wow.
And
nice.
he said, well, we'll throw you in the fire if you're ready. So I said, all right, let's go. And then next thing you know, we started negotiations, and that was it. It happened so fast. At the end of my sophomore year, I signed and then went and played in the minors, actually.
Okay.
Because due to the rules, if I jumped right into the NHL, it would have burned a year in my contract.
Oh,
so they wanted me to get some pro experience right at the end of my college year. So that was kind of the process. I felt like I was ready, had a conversation. They pretty much agreed.
Got it.
We'll sign you, here you go.
Got it. Okay, very cool. So we were talking just a second ago before we were live on air how you've been playing hockey since you were 3, right? Did I hear that right? I was in the other room, but I heard you telling Bailey.
I've been skating at least since I was 3, possibly playing hockey since I was 3. I mean, my dad used to flood the backyard.
Oh, nice.
Get into a rink, so I mean, I skated year round.
Got it.
Yeah.
So at what age did you know in your heart that you were going to be a pro, that you were going to play in the NHL?
I'd say right around 13 or 14 years old was the day I remember making the decision to tell my dad that this is it for me. I was playing other sports up to that point. I just said, Dad, I'm a hockey player, and I'm going to be a hockey player, and I'm going all in. And I do remember that conversation. I'm pretty sure he does too. It was kind of a groundbreaking moment for both of us.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Did you believe that at 13 because you were already substantially better than other 13-year-olds?
I had always been one of the better players on the team, yes.
Okay.
I think it was just my dad was my coach. He had a background in hockey. He was actually the first person in our family to play the sport.
Okay.
He actually played at University of Wisconsin as well. So he had a pretty good background, had some friends in the hockey world locally in Madison. So I was around good people. I learned the game, and I had some good genetics from him, I guess.
Yes.
And yeah, I was one of the better players, and that was just kind of how it just played out. I mean, it was pretty smooth sailing, to be honest.
That's awesome.
Up until I was around 18, 19 years old when I got to college. So.
And competition got increasingly better.
Yeah. When you start climbing that ladder, things get a little tighter. So.
Right. Okay, very cool. So, just curious, we we talk a lot with individuals that are entrepreneurs, that are real estate investors, and one of the things that I'm always intrigued by is, I've never told you this, so not now because of the COVID, but probably a couple years ago, there's a individual who will public speak on the topic of real estate, and I travel with him, and I just share, I just share on stage basically, and so I'll get a lot of these students that will come after the presentation's over, and they struggle with believing they can do it. Right? Nobody wants to lose money. I was in that place. Before I ever bought my first house, I didn't want to lose money, right? But then, fast forward 18 years later, it's now my normal to buy a house, fix it up, and flip it. And so these people will study and study and study, and we call it paralysis of analysis, because years will go by and they'll never buy a house. But they'll go and listen to every speech and every video on YouTube. So I'm intrigued by the mindset, right, of some people who can do things and who can't. You obviously had a mindset that was very, very strong to be a professional hockey player, right, NHL. I mean, you had a belief system in yourself. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your game day rituals? I asked Jonathan Garcia what was his rituals on Olympic Day when he had to compete. And it's fascinating to me because I've never been at that level.
Well, I think it changed. It was ever evolving as I got more mature and started understanding the importance of different little details, trying to find edges here and there, whether it was nutrition, whether it was rest, things like that. But towards the end here, I mean, I'm pretty much at the end of the road as far as my career goes. I might be able to squeak out another couple of years after this next contract, but I think it's all about routine. I think it's finding a routine that works. It's not a superstitious thing. It can be if you believe in superstitious stuff, like a lot of athletes do. I wasn't a superstitious guy. I just wanted to keep the same routine. That way it kind of paved the road for me for a game day to just know I was in neutral ground, neutral territory. So for me, some of those things were try to get somewhere between 8 to 10 hours of sleep the night before, and a nice meal before that.
Okay.
I mean, I even have milk and cookies.
Oh, nice.
Like at the Ritz-Carlton, in the NHL, they treat you pretty nice. So you're seeing at Ritz's every city, so you get the $25 milk and cookies from Ritz. It's wild looking back at that, like I actually spent that. But it helped the sleep, and then you wake up and you have a good morning, breakfast or not. I'm not a breakfast eater, to be honest.
Okay.
I naturally, my whole life, have done intermittent fasting, and now it's becoming a thing.
Interesting.
And I think it's kind of chuckle at that. But I just eat when I'm hungry.
Okay.
So usually I wake up, I'm not really that hungry, and we have morning skates on game days. So
got it.
If I have too much food, I feel lethargic. I don't want to feel lethargic on the ice. So I just go out in the morning skate, get a couple puck touches, we call them, just feel the hands, feel the shot, skates, and just get a good sweat in. And after that, you have pregame meal, and then you have basically a 4-hour window to rest up before you have to be back at the rink 2 hours before the game.
Yes.
So then, that's the day routine, and then the 2 hours before the game is a whole different. That's a total mindset thing where you're trying to get locked in. Trying to find that balance, total line of being calm, but also ramping yourself up for that adrenaline rush.
Do you use music to do that?
I used to. I don't anymore. Kind of let the young guys play these, rap tunes. The European guys play all that techno stuff. And So, I mean, playing in Russia was a nightmare listening to their music, so I was actually listening to my own. So
Gotcha.
But so I mean, it depends on where I'm at and how the tunes are, the team tunes are. If I like them, then I'll listen to that.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, because that's so helpful for, I think, a lot of people that just have the paralysis of analysis, right? They just got to, like you said, it's a ritual. It's just a, what was the word? Routine. Thank you. It's a routine. It's just a routine. You do something enough, it becomes your normal.
Well, I think the fear of failure is a real thing.
Right.
I think people having to cope with that fear of failure is it's a challenge. I look at real estate too. It's interesting. I'm learning a little bit about it myself, and my wife and I are thinking about taking some risks there as well. It is a risk, but at the same time, my view of it is, at one point in time, that person that spent $50,000 on a property thought that was a ton of money, and now it's worth triple that. And
Right.
like, I'm sitting on a gold mine.
Right.
And I think that's all relative to the times. I think places like Park City where I live, places like out west here, people are expanding and growing. Yeah, there's a risk, but at the same time, you can almost, minus the housing crisis that happened, you can almost bank on a good percentage of interest every year.
Exactly.
So I think it's all relative. I think that fear of failure, like you said, it can be paralyzing. It can be really paralyzing in sports too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you're not willing to take risk as an athlete, you're not letting your instincts take over.
Right.
You're playing a calculated game. So if you play an opponent that's not playing calculated, he's letting his instincts take over.
Yes.
He's gonna win.
Yes.
He's gonna beat you every time.
Right.
So you gotta be loose. You gotta find that balance of be loose, but also care, but also let your instincts just naturally take over.
Right.
And that's really hard to do.
Yes.
Especially if you are scared of failing.
Right, that makes total sense. Total sense. All right, I love where we're going now because we discussed this yesterday, which is success, right? And what you said yesterday resonated so well with me because it's what my mentors always told me for years, for the last decade, over a decade. Success isn't something that you open up the dictionary and say, this is a Ferrari, the mansion, the private jet, right? Success is something that is individualized. And do you mind sharing what you shared with me about success yesterday? Because I just loved it.
Well, I think success is relative to the individual. I think it means you can make your own definition of it. If I look at somebody else and I see them, like I told you yesterday, they have a Ferrari in a 14,000 square foot home that they live in one weekend out of the year.
Right.
And I look at them and I'm like, well, they're successful. Well, then I'm a massive failure.
Right.
If that's success, then I am a failure.
Right.
And if I'm not a winner like they are in my eyes, then I'm a loser.
Right.
And that's no way to live.
I agree.
And I refuse to live that way.
Yeah.
So my definition of success is I'm going to give it my best every single day. That's what I'm in control of.
Yeah.
And let the chips fall where they may. I'm not going to roll the dice. I'm going to give it my best effort. But at the same time, your definition of success is totally different.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And if you want that big house and big car and you're shooting for that, go for it, man.
Right.
And I hope you have that success in your eyes.
Right.
But my vision of success is fulfillment.
Yes.
It's doing what I'm passionate about.
Yes.
Doing what I love. Chasing that fulfillment and trying not to chase it at the same time, like you said before the show. I think you're fulfilled when you're not chasing it anymore.
Yeah.
You're actually content with where you're at in life.
Yes.
So I always pose the question. My wife and I always ask each other every day, like, we check in how we're doing and stuff like that. But I think a big question on our minds every day, whether we say it or not, is when's enough enough?
Yeah.
When are you fully content with where you're at in life and living in that moment? And I think when you get there, you're successful.
Yeah.
And if I compared myself to Jonathan Taves, captain of the Blackhawks when I was first there, and Patrick Kane, two good buddies of mine, old teammates of mine.
Yeah.
They were top 10 picks, just like myself. I was a 7th overall draft pick.
Amazing.
I get there and I'm not having the success they're having on the ice.
Right. Right.
I had a lot of struggles in my career. I had to, face a lot of adversity and I had to persevere through things that some other draft picks, highly touted draft picks, didn't have to.
Yeah.
Now, if I compare to myself to the rest of them, I'm a dramatic failure again. But I look at the perseverance, I look at all the adversity I had to face, my story, my journey was completely different.
Right.
I can look at that with full confidence saying, I'm successful.
Yeah.
I had a successful career. Might not have looked like what I wanted it to look like.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I lived out a dream that a lot of kids never have a chance to.
Absolutely.
That's successful.
I love it. I love it. I think I told you yesterday, my mentor said, maybe I didn't, I was telling Bailey that though. Maybe I told you yesterday, sorry. It's all one conversation in my head between Bailey and you now because I was preparing for today. But his definition of success is to do what he wants, when he wants, with who he wants, right? And he's like, he drives a pickup truck. He's like, I don't have a Ferrari, I don't have the mansion. He goes, but I'm in a place where I do enough real estate, houses, flips, all that stuff that I can, he's spend it with my children, with my wife, who I want, when I want, and to him, he's like, that's where he feels the happiest, right? And that resonates with me because I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and so for me, I love just hanging out with my kids right now.
Right.
And do you have kids?
I have actually a son.
Oh.
A baby boy.
Oh, congratulations!
Just over 7 months. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah,
Is he gonna play hockey?
I don't know. We'll see. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Yes. When are you gonna start him on skates?
I don't know. Whenever he sees him in the locker room and decides that he wants to put him on, that's when we're gonna put him on.
Gotcha.
I'm not really in a rush to make him a hockey player.
Got it.
I know it's a grueling lifestyle, but hey, if he wants it bad enough, I'll support him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, very cool. So I love that definition of success, because I think you and I chatted yesterday briefly that gets forgotten about. You know, you mentioned we both lived in Europe, and their mentality is a little different. Here in America, it's like this grind to just be the best. You know
exactly.
what I mean? Yes.
I'm glad you said that, because it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I need to be the best.
I need to be the best. And then if you don't reach the best, I was telling Billy, there's only one Floyd Mayweather ever in history, as far as, if I remember the article correctly, as far as athletes being paid for their athletic ability, not endorsements. Floyd Mayweather is the highest paid athlete, and there's a guy named Canelo Alvarez, I think, who's about to surpass him, who's another boxer. But obviously there's people that have made more money, like probably Tiger Woods, on endorsement than maybe Floyd, right? But as far as athletics, you know, me being a boxer growing up, I just, you know, comparing myself, I gotta be that guy. Well, there's only one that guy.
Right.
Right? And so this grind that we're fed, that you've gotta be the best, it's very easy to feel like we're losers or failures if we don't reach that pinnacle. But we could even, you know, but the pinnacle we reach is still high, but if we don't get to that point, are we now messing our minds up that we didn't get there?
Well, I think there's no question that people like that paved the way for younger individuals to come in. They changed the game. I mean, Michael Jordan changed the game of basketball.
Right.
And then Kobe Bryant comes into the picture, you know, LeBron James, all these guys. But you can look at every respective sport.
Right.
Those guys are there and they're changing the game. That's great.
Yeah.
And LeBron James, I bet you when he was a kid, he wanted to be like Mike.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So that's fine.
Yeah.
But then there comes a time when he made it his own.
Yes.
That there becomes a time where he created a LeBron James brand, a Kobe Bryant brand, or Floyd Mayweather brand. I mean, whatever sport, Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at all of them. Patrick Kane, I always mention guys like that.
Yeah.
Guys that I play with in the hockey world.
Yeah.
They came in and changed the game on their own way, but they had their idols of their sport.
Exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I just don't think I think at some point you have to kind of
be you.
Be you.
Yeah.
And let your instincts take over.
Yeah.
And that's when you're successful.
Yeah.
When you're living out your instincts and you're not trying to be the best, but giving it your best.
Yes.
And
that was good.
I mean,
I'm gonna use that.
Well, yeah. Just give it your best.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Exactly.
And I tell little kids at hockey camps all the time.
Nice.
Just give it. All I care about as a coach.
Yeah.
Just give me your best.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that's all your parents care for. They're paying this money.
Yeah.
Spending all this time for you to be here.
Exactly.
Give it your best.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Okay, very cool. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to hear about the nightmare story and the lesson that can be learned. So just so you know why I have this in here is I have a lot of nightmare stories that I've lost a lot of money and learned a valuable lesson that I'll never have to do again, right? And so I had a buddy that I worked with. He also flips houses, and we would, anytime we'd have a nightmare story that happened to us, we'd tell one another so the other person could learn from our mistakes so that we wouldn't have to both make it. And so the premise of the idea of the nightmare story came from that. So we want to hear, you know, like what did we have to go through, and then the lesson that we took out of it, right? Because there's always a lesson out of every nightmare story. So stay tuned. We will be right back after commercial break. We will hear Jack's nightmare story. Awesome. All right. Cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You have a dog?
We used to.
Okay.
And then the baby came and the mother-in-law took it. She said it was a tiny little min pin.
Gotcha.
Drove me nuts. Little ankle biter. I was like almost kicked her out of the door when it was time.
Got it.
I love dogs though. I really do. I just with Leroy and having a min pin.
Yes.
Min pins are very territorial and they're very they need a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So there just would no way she would have been loved
Gotcha.
the way that she would have needed to be. And then my mother-in-law is like alone.
Oh, okay.
So we saw the min pin for the first time in like 6 months.
Oh, nice.
She's like fat. So she's just getting spoiled, you know?
Right.
It worked out perfect for her.
That's good.
How about you? Do you have any dogs?
I've got one. Yeah, we had two, but the other one passed away. They were litter mates, literally, and so now we just got the one. She's 12. The other one died right at 11.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You said London. London's a dog.
Yeah. That's right. That's
You
right.
told me that.
All right. Let's see. We can. All right, we are back. You're listening to K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I'm your host, Yoshi Shiraki. We've got Jack Skilly in the studios today, professional NHL hockey player, sharing lots of great things. Thank you so much, by the way, again, for sharing.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, so Jack, you mentioned yesterday you've got a nightmare story that happened to you. So the nightmare stories don't always have to happen to the guest, they could just know of it, but this one happened to you, you said, right?
Yeah.
So do you mind diving into it, please?
Well, yeah. I mean, it started out. I was playing in Minsk, Belarus. I was alone in Minsk, Belarus, which was like kind of a nightmare story in itself,
Okay.
being alone over there. But I got settled in and was playing hockey and enjoying hockey, and I got to the point where right around Christmas time, I started getting lonely. I started getting homesick for the first time really in my life.
Ah.
And was exhausted from the season and the travel all around Russia, and it was a grind.
Yes.
I got to a place where I hated the idea of playing hockey for the first time in my life. I hated it. I loathed it.
Yeah.
I literally looked at my jersey and didn't want to put it on before a game.
Wow.
So that was a nightmare for me. I was like,
Yeah.
now I have half the season left to play, and I literally cannot fathom putting this jersey on again.
Oh, wow.
So I was at the place where I was going to actually just jump on a flight without telling anybody and just ditch it and go home.
Oh.
I was there. I was
Yeah.
rock bottom.
Yeah.
Mentally. So I had a mentor at the time that I was speaking to about some spiritual things in my life, being a believer in God and trying to live out according to that and that path. And he had said, you're exhausted, you're lonely, you're this and that. This is the worst time to ever make a serious life decision like you're about to make. He was a ex-pro ball player too, so
Got it.
he knew what I was going through. So he said, yeah, I got to the same place mentally before I retired, but let's pray about it. So we prayed about it. Make a long story short, we prayed about it. The next day I had to hop on a flight from Minsk to Shanghai.
Oh, wow.
It was 9 hours. So it was like we literally had to refuel in the middle of Siberia. Like, believe me, I did not want to be on that flight. This is the last flight I wanted to be on. So we get to Shanghai and we had like a day off just to get settled and get used to the time change a little bit. So never doing this before in a city that I've never been in, a country I've never been in. I've never been to China before at this point. I was like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna walk around alone. I'm gonna have not be with my teammates. I'm gonna do this and that. And I, took everything out of the room and usually leave stuff in the room, whatever. But I just was carrying around a backpack, this and that, whatever. And found a bike rental and started riding a bike around town. I mean, careless, just whatever, just cruising around.
Yeah.
Nothing happened on the bike. It was like a fun little adventure, to be honest.
Right.
And it was like a great little day. I was just cruising around, just waving to people as they go by. I don't care. I'm just a tourist today.
Yeah.
So, we woke up. Actually, sorry, it was like a half day off. So that evening we had practice just to get acclimated on the ice. And we go skate, and we do this and that. I get in the bus after the practice, and I do the the 1, 2, 3, the wallet, phone, check, right? So there was like wallet, phone, passport check.
Yeah.
And I was like, where's my passport?
Oh.
And I'm like, no, it's probably in my room. I always leave it in my room.
Yeah.
So I go eat dinner, go to my room, expecting my passport to be on my desk. Gone.
Oh no.
So I'm like doing the lifting up the bed. I'm like lifting up the chair. I'm lifting up all the pillows, and I'm like literally the places that the passport would never be. And I'm like searching. And I finally start laughing. I'm like, Jack, no matter how hard you look, your passport's gone.
Oh no.
So I laughed, I chuckled, I said, okay, God, here's your answer.
Yeah.
Here's your answer to my prayer.
Yeah.
I'm stuck here now.
Right.
So I went down to the elevator, and this guy, Boris, our team doctor, Boris, literally his name Boris.
That's awesome.
A Russian guy. I said, Boris, I lost my passport. He goes, this is problem. That was his response. So I'm like, now I'm really in trouble.
Yeah.
Like this guy's supposed to help me.
Right.
And this is his problem.
Yeah.
That's his response. Okay, so we talked to this other guy who's the team guy who's in charge of all of the backup photos and all that stuff for your passport.
Yeah.
Didn't speak a lick of English.
Oh no.
So I'm having Boris translate with him, and it was a mess. So I literally was stuck there, long story short again, for a week, doing everything on my own. The team left me.
Oh,
we
wow.
played the team in Shanghai.
Yeah.
And I said, hey guys, have a good roadie. I'll see you maybe someday in Minsk again. And we're all laughing like, you idiot.
Yeah.
So like I'm stuck in Shanghai all alone.
Oh man.
Footing the own bill, like the team's not paying for it.
Right.
You pay for your own, you figure it out. You lost the passport. Man.
Yeah.
So I'm going back and forth to the consulate. I'm, after about 4 or 5 days, it was over a weekend, so everything was closed. So I was like, couldn't do anything, roaming around the city, just resting really. I slept 14, 15 hours a day. Couldn't, I was like, really, I couldn't believe how much I was sleeping.
Yeah.
But, right around the 5th, 6th day, when I was starting to get all the documents I needed, I was getting ready to kind of leave town, I started waking up in the middle of the night and wanting to get to the gym. And I was just so motivated to get back and play.
Yes.
And I was like, this is, I need to get back, I need to be in good shape when I come back, and this needs to happen, and I need to grind it out right now. I can't sleep. So I started grinding out in the hotel, weight room, and really just getting back into shape. Got on this flight, it was a 12-hour flight from Shanghai to Frankfurt, and I mean, it was a whole ordeal. I mean, I had to get, by the time I left China, I had to get a visa to leave the country. I had to get a visa to re-enter Belarus. I mean, it was a mess.
Oh
it was
my
an
gosh.
all-time worst case scenario mess.
Right.
And, but by the end of it, I had my first practice with my team, and it was like a ton, just everything was off my shoulders. I was light, I felt great. It was the best practice of my life, I'll never forget it.
That's awesome.
And it just literally turned everything around for that year.
Wow.
Just finished strong, and it was, I mean, it ended up being a blessing, but it was like, in the initial, it was, I mean,
a panic almost.
A panic, a straight panic. Like, I'm stuck here alone, there's nobody that's gonna help me.
Right.
If I wanna get out of China,
Yeah.
I have to do it myself.
Right.
So,
How's your Chinese?
it was terrible. And I had a really gross lady sneeze in her hand on the subway. I learned the subway system real good, but she sneezed on her hand. Like, this would never happen during COVID right now.
Right.
Sneezed in her hand and just chucked it on the floor, and it was like this loud thud right next to my foot. It was disgusting. I'm glad I'm sharing it to people on radio. But but literally, that was a nightmare. That was like, what? And she literally just looked back at her phone like nothing happened. And I'm like, this is the most disgusting thing that's ever happened to me. You could literally feel the vibration of this lube going around. It was just disgusting. So, I mean, the whole thing. There's things I could write a book about that experience. And literally, I got shanghaied.
Wow.
So it was a nightmare.
A nightmare. But like you said, the blessing in disguise there was that it got you hungry again because you weren't playing hockey. You had like this time off.
Yeah, it literally made it a reality to me that I needed rest. I needed to just turn my brain off. And it was funny. Like, I didn't want to do that, but I was like pinned.
Yeah.
I was pinned down. There was no way around it. I was stuck in that hotel. I was stuck in Shanghai.
Yeah.
I was waiting. I was forced to wait, and that was a really big life lesson for me.
Got it. Yes. Okay. That's a great story. Wow. Have you worked on your Chinese since, just in case that ever happens again?
No. I literally made a vow of never going back to China.
Okay.
I got my dose for life.
Okay. Awesome.
Beautiful country, I love it. Beautiful people, awesome. Never going back.
Right, okay. Well, normally we take another commercial break, but right now I'm very excited to dive into the next aspect of our show, the next segment, which is entrepreneurship, because you are an entrepreneur as well. You have a training program that I got introduced to by Jonathan Garcia that I have now started attending and love and realize how out of shape I am, and we'll be continuing going, and I can't wait to start talking about that. And so we're not even going to go to commercial break. We're going to dive right into this. So can you please tell me and share with the listeners a little bit about your entrepreneurial venture? I know a little bit just from Jonathan, but can you tell me a little bit about your business?
Well, it started out as a workout group in Madison, Wisconsin by my personal trainer, my athletic development coach, Steve Merlin.
Okay.
He's been doing it since the 90s.
Got it.
30 years now, 30 plus years. So he was a University of Wisconsin strength and conditioning coach. He also was a San Jose Sharks strength and conditioning coach. He always laughs at those are like his peaks of his career to people, but his definition of success is totally different. Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, so he started this workout group Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 a.m. at this local high school gym. A time zone that the gym would never be used, it didn't matter. And then it started with like 6 of his buddies, and the next thing you know, it just grew naturally and organically over time. And then consistently 30 to 40 people have been showing up ever since.
Gotcha.
And it's a donation gift economy based. So it's like you donate what do you think it's worth for you, once a month, once a year, daily, or per workout, whatever.
Right.
But he asked, normal comers, hey, like $3 per workout, please. If you're coming consistently, just $3, like whatever. If it's worth more, then do it. And that was his like gift economy business model. And he'll tell you point blank, Jack, I'm the worst businessman to ever exist. And in some ways he is, but I would kind of battle him on that in other ways. He's very interesting, he's very intelligent. And when I decided to take a 10-month hiatus or retire, I was retired last April, I was kind of in this mode of service. I didn't know what I really wanted to do, the next path I wanted to take, so I said, I want to serve people, and the best way I know how is to create a group like Steve has. And I was training with him for the last six years. Nice. I know his stuff like the back of my hand. I can coach it. Yeah. I can learn more. Right. I'm going to learn more. Yeah. And I just wanted to create positive change in people's lives. So we did that. So we created that. Jonathan, I met him early on. He's been helping me out in ways. Now that's been kind of like an official thing where it's called FMT Life. Nice. Functional Movement Training for Life. Got it. Jonathan's been kind of on board helping me when I can't be there.
Very cool. And just so the listeners know, Jonathan Garcia is a 2-time Olympian.
Yes.
So you've got a professional NHL hockey player, a 2-time Olympian, doing how did your mentor state it? In a charitable economy? What did he call it?
Gift economy.
Gift economy session that I've been attending now, attended twice, which is absolutely awesome. I think that if you're looking to get in shape, and what's great is it's outdoors, and if you're, so I go to the gym at 5 a.m. because that's the only time my wife will let me go because of COVID. She's like, you're going to go when it's empty. If you want to work out, you got to go when it's empty. Right. So I get up at 4, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then I'll go to the gym from 5 to 6. And then, because my wife won't let me go when it's more busy, right? She's just against it right now. She works for the hospital, and so she hears statistics. She's a little more sensitive to statistics because she hears them daily versus people
part of her daily life.
Yeah, exactly. And so we work out, you work out, I work out with you twice outdoors. Yeah. And so my wife's all over that. She's like, yeah, that's great. If you want to work out there, that you can go. So it just happened. The timing is perfect.
Right now, yeah, we're actually trying to create as well time for the workout. It's actually becoming more perfect, I think, for people because we're going to be creating another workout time slot. So
that's right.
We're going to go 7 a.m. and noon starting next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's either anybody's welcome. So when a new person comes on board, I take down their email, add them to the group, and you'll be on the email group forever unless you unsubscribe. That's how it works. Got it. Super simple. Sign a waiver, you're in. Anybody's welcome. Anybody that wants to just get moving. And that's the whole concept behind this, and that's what Steve's methodology was I always try to coach people and teach them while we're at the class. I'm not just throwing a workout up on the board and saying, hey, do this, do the CrossFit Fran or whatever the workout of the day is. Right. No, I actually want, the whole method is what Steve did to me, what he does to other people in his classes. I want to teach you how to fish. Yeah. I'm not going to go catch a fish for you. Right. I want you to actually learn how to move well, what moving well actually means, what it actually looks like. Yes. And I want you to actually see firsthand how much more flexibility and how much more loose in a good way you get from an unglued from movement. Yes. Not static stretching. Yes. Not putting a ton of weight on your spine. Right. Just moving with body weight or dumbbells, med balls, aqua bags, lighter weight movements. Yeah. But as you can attest, it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. You're still building strength. And
Yes.
it's just kind of like,
My
we're
heart's-
talking success is relative.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
my heart was racing too.
Strength building is relative.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally, you don't have to be big to be strong.
Right.
So I think that's the whole concept all in the one little nutshell is just, we're trying to get people to become unglued.
Yeah.
We're trying to get them to feel healthy and feel like they're charged up and ready to go into their workday.
Right.
Especially if they're working out early in the morning.
Yep. And do you know what I love about, so I never have been ever introduced to this kind of regimen, style, what would, like,
Circuit training.
Circuit training, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been introduced to this type of circuit training before. And, you know, I only know, like, first of all, I'm not a fitness expert, so just let's get that clear.
Neither am I.
Okay. And I was never a professional athlete either.
Okay.
So I know how to go to the gym and bench press. I know how to go to the gym and squat. I know how to go to the gym and lunge. And it's a very stiff movement. And sometimes I question, like, why do I even need to be strong? I sit at a desk most of the day. Like, what's the point of strength? And I started really appreciating the mobility of what your exercises have been doing for me and the flexibility. That's what I need, right? I don't really need to bench press 300 pounds. When am I going to need that bench press strength? When am I going to ever be laying on my back?
Well, the funny thing is like, this is what, and there's probably listeners out there that love barbell training, and hey, more power to you. There's a time and place for that, go ahead.
Yeah.
But the whole concept of it as a non-athlete in general, even as an athlete, is it's called the sagittal plane, which is straight forward and back.
Yeah.
So when you grab that barbell in any position, you're locking yourself in the sagittal plane.
Got it.
We move as human beings in the transverse plane.
Right.
So if you're, as an athlete, your sport has a lot of rotation, why would you ever train in just the sagittal plane?
Right.
So that's kind of our concept, is we want to make sure that we're training for not only life, but
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah.
Becoming better athletes. But, you know, you touched on one thing, expert, and I told you this yesterday. I hate that word. I hate that word. Because even though I'm a professional athlete,
Yeah.
and I have years of experience moving and learning all these things from countless strength and conditioning coaches, studying
Yeah.
it myself, and all of that, I think there's no humility in the word expert.
Oh, sure.
So when someone says, I'm an expert in this,
Yeah.
or I'm a guru in this,
Right.
I tend to run
Yeah.
really fast in the opposite
Yeah.
direction.
Right.
Because I think I'm looking for that humble leader, the person that I know is working hard every day to keep learning.
Right.
Someone that knows what they don't know,
Mhm.
and someone that's willing to admit that.
Right.
And I think that is why I love Steve, my old mentor
Yeah.
/ coach, because he epitomizes that in all
Gotcha.
aspects of his life. He literally preaches what he already lives.
Got
And
it.
I think that is something that we try to, the concept that Jonathan and myself
Yeah.
try to bring into FMT life is,
Yeah.
I'm not going to coach you something or put you through a movement that I'm not going to do myself,
Right.
or I don't know the why behind.
Right.
I think that's another pitfall that
Yeah.
people get into, is they just do it because of conforming.
Yeah.
So-and-so's been doing this and he's been getting ripped, so it's going to work for me, or
Right.
this trainer says do this.
Yeah.
You can ask your trainer why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please ask your trainer why.
Right.
Because athletes do that all the time.
Right.
And it's a good tell as an athlete, if your trainer can't tell you why,
Right.
or his why is, or her why is, it looks cool,
Yeah.
or because it's fun,
Right.
I'd question that.
Right.
So I think that's all the things we want to bring into FMT life, is
Got it.
teach you how to fish in that way.
Yeah.
We want you to know the why. We want you to know the exact why.
Right.
And have the freedom to ask.
Yeah.
Challenge me, please do. Because if I don't have my why,
Yeah.
you better bet your rear end I'm going to go back home and I'm going to study the why.
Right. 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 Gotcha. That's awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, can you share a little bit about the difference between? So you're a hockey player. So I just always assumed hockey players just train on ice all the time, but they don't. Jonathan educated me that there's on ice training versus off ice training, and whether you're an ice athlete like you and Jonathan, there's still critical movements that you need to be able to master off ice. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to, again, I quote Steve because it's just perfectly put. He just has a way of doing this. Be a grace chaser he calls it. Chase Grace.
Yeah.
And graceful, yeah, it's like a ballerina. I mean, look at ballet dancers.
Right.
They're like the best athletes in the world, gymnasts, best athletes in the world, because they just have this grace to their movement. And I think the off-ice aspect does that. If it's coached well, will teach you how to gracefully move. And what's really interesting is when you're watching the sport, the human eye is naturally attracted to graceful movement. So you can actually see the person that's a really well-rounded athlete versus the person that's a one-sport athlete, if you watch close enough.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of what Jonathan's referring to, is teaching kids how to be athletes, well-rounded athletes, adaptable athletes, and through graceful movement. And I think that's pretty much all you really need to know, is just chase grace, man. And like, be nice, like the water flowing around a rock. Learn how to move with flow and ease. You're not robotic. Sports aren't that way. So that's kind of maybe the surface level answer. I don't know. You could go into so many details on how to teach people how to move and what movements and this and that, but I think that's basically should be the goal of any athletic development or any kid out there trying to learn how to be an athlete, is to just chase grace.
Gotcha. Okay. How much off-ice training did you guys actually do in the NHL? A ton?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, it's part of your everyday routine, really.
Gotcha.
It's injury prevention at the end of the day.
Okay.
That's what movement is too. So, as a pro athlete, pro hockey player, we talk about be a pro. Being a pro means taking care of your body and being consistent every single day. Doing things when nobody's watching. So, that's definitely part of the day. You gotta, whether that means a static stretch if you're a stretching guy like that, or get up and move and warm up, or maybe you got to do a workout before you get on the ice, or maybe you have all this prehabilitation for injury prevention that you have to do. Whatever you have to do, you are in the gym every day.
Got it.
At least, in my opinion, you should be. In some form or format.
Got it.
As an athlete.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. Do you work with other types of athletes? I mean, obviously you work with the general population, right? Anyone you mentioned, anyone can come. Do you personally work with, aspiring skiers or soccer players or baseball players or anything, basketball players or? I don't.
I have to. That's the selfish part of my life. I need to make sure that I'm maintaining myself.
Got it.
And I'm getting myself prepared for my own hockey season.
Gotcha.
I think it's a tremendous responsibility. I have too much respect for strength and conditioning coaches and athletic development coaches and that whole concept. To train professional athletes at this point, or even prospective professional athletes. There's progressions that you need to consider. There's a true development process. That I still need to learn. I do not know all of that, but what I can do is I can run a really bang-on group workout, and I can hopefully make you feel better after several times of the class. Maybe your spine's going to feel better, you're going to have more energy, you're just going to feel better all around, physically, maybe mentally, because of that. That's my goal right now. So having that boundary now for me is crucial, just so I can still be committed to the Nuremberg Ice Tigers over in Germany as one of the leaders in the room there. I don't want to get overextended and forget about them.
When do you go to Germany for that season?
Well, they're delayed now.
Oh, because of COVID.
So the earliest we are going to start is November.
Okay.
So usually we start. I would be over there right now.
Got it.
We would start training camp right around now and get ready for the season, but we're delayed. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. Okay, so before we run out of time, I always want to make sure that the listeners have the ability to reach out to you, your website, or any place that they can find you. What's the best place that people can find your website, or Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is that you want?
You can just hit up my personal page on Instagram for now. Jack Skilly. It's at Jack Skilly, my full name.
Okay.
And I also have fmt.life, which
okay.
is our business page. You can, if you're looking for workouts or wanting to join the group,
yep.
DM me there, either one of those pages. yeah, give me a follow, whatever, and see if you like it. And I always try to respond to everybody that reaches out to me. I think if they take the time to reach out to me, I'm going to take the time to reach out back to them. So I think it's just a respect thing for me.
Awesome.
So don't worry, I'll get back to you. Even if it's not right away, I'm getting there. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, very cool. And for anyone who's missed any part of this show, you can always go to www.utahhomesweethome.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and there's the social media icons. If you click on the YouTube icon, we film all of these shows. You can rewatch this show. You can see the information. And actually, Bailey and I have been to one of the sessions. You were out of town. You were in Wisconsin. Jonathan was running it. And we filmed that one. And so you can check out what these sessions look like. And then Bailey and I will be joining you again on Monday. And we'll film that session. And so for those of you who are curious to see what these workouts are like, you can get a good feel for when we watch this video. Because I'd never even heard of an aqua bag until 2 weeks ago.
It's a pretty fun tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really interesting what it does to you.
It does, and it's harder than I thought it would be.
Yep.
When that's over my head and you're like, okay, walk and shoot to the side, like, oh gosh, like the water flowing to the one end.
The splash, you got to catch the splash with your core.
Yes.
It's like farmer strong.
Yes.
Guys are lifting barrels like that all the time.
Right.
That's why the guys that are lifting up all that heavy labor weight, they're the strongest guys. They're doing functional movement within their work, their daily life. So
that's right.
We're kind of that's what we do. We want to get the fun part of that. We don't want you reliant on gear, but when we have a fun tool like an aqua bag, we like to throw it in the workouts every now and again.
Yeah.
If not every time.
Yeah. And you know what I love about the aqua bag is that I really feel it in my core. I think you mentioned it's part of the core, and that's exactly where I'm feeling it, because I feel as I'm getting older, the core is the one thing that I recognize getting weak. I don't recognize my biceps getting weak. They're getting weak. If I don't work them out, they're going to get weak. But I don't do anything in the day that makes me have to, like, lifting a cup or a fork to my mouth to eat or drink doesn't, I don't go, oh, my biceps are weak, I can't lift this fork. But bending over to pick up my 2-year-old, I'm like, oh, my core is getting weak. Like, I feel it. So I freaking love the aqua bag.
Well, what's cool about the core, what you said there, is you don't feel weak in your limbs, but at the same time, if your core isn't strong, you're not strong.
Right.
That's the way it is. Your strength in the human body comes from the middle out.
Yes.
So you have to train your core. In order for your arms to be as strong as they possibly can, your core's got to be spot on.
Got it.
So that's movement. That's literally when you have back issues, when you have stuff like that, it's mostly related to core.
Yes.
A lot of physical therapists will get you doing planks, they'll get you doing side planks, they'll be like all of a sudden reactivating your core, and you're like, oh, I haven't paid attention to this at all. No wonder why when I'm sitting at a desk all day and I'm slouched in a terrible postural position, my back is killing me. It's because my core is loose.
Never
so that's another saying that we have is like, stiffness comes from looseness.
Interesting.
So you gotta get moving.
Yes.
Through movement, you'll become looser.
Got it.
So
that's my back. Like I have and that's where I feel it, is I feel it in my lower back and my core. And I could be wrong. I always assumed the core was like by your abs and your lower back. Is that not the core?
Your core wraps around your entire body.
Okay.
And it literally it crosses in front. I mean, it goes down into your groins. I mean, literally, it's like it's attached to everything. It's literally all of your limbs are moved through the core. So it's like it's a major vital thing to pay attention to. And people, even athletes, get injured all the time. Groin injuries, things like that, can be a result of not focusing and maintaining your core.
Gotcha. So. And that's what I love about, I really feel my core when we're doing these workouts. Just I wanted to prove that point to everybody who's listening.
And that's the thing too, is like the aqua bag, what's interesting about core movement is you don't have to isolate the core in order to move it.
Oh, yeah.
You can do a full body movement by integrating the core, which is what the beauty of aqua bag is.
Right.
So when you're doing a walking step and a side lean with an aqua bag, your entire body from your toenails to your fingernails holding the aqua bag is moving, but your core is having to move you through that movement.
Yes.
So that's the beauty of it. That's another thing that people think is, if I want to work my core, I just got to isolate my core. Well, I'm not a believer in isolating any muscles.
Right.
I'm a believer in getting all the muscles between your toes and fingernails to work together. The tiny muscles that you don't even use every single day, Well, you do use them every single day, you just don't realize it. So
Right.
training everything.
Yes, that
So,
makes sense.
Yeah, just like I said, the kinetic chain. I'm not an expert, but at the same time, I've lived this my
Right.
whole life. This is like my life. I've lived it.
Right.
And I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
I hope you can tell in my voice.
Absolutely.
I'm passionate about teaching this to people because I don't enjoy watching people hurt themselves in the gym.
Right. Right.
Or athletes that are doing things in a form of training that it's a funny expression by Steve's mentor.
Uh-huh.
He says, if you're training slow, you're training to be slower.
Oh, interesting.
If you're not training well, then
Yeah.
you're training to be worse at whatever sport you. So why even show up?
Right.
It's quality over quantity. That's
Right.
the whole thing, is make sure whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
it's high quality. And
Got
that's kind of what I try to live out in my life.
Yeah.
From food wise, I mean,
Right.
my best. I mean, I'm a failure every day at that. I mean, you see a bag of chips, like who doesn't want to eat it?
Right.
You know, I'm an impulsive eater too, but
Uh-huh.
you have to try your best to just
Yeah.
make sure that, hey, I want to live a high quality life, and put high quality fuel in my body, and I
Yeah.
want to do high quality movement when I train, because I want to, when I'm 65 years old, I want to move like my mentor Steve does.
Right.
I want to move like I'm in my 30s.
Right.
I don't want to be miserable with back pain and thinking I can't do something.
Right. I
So-
love it. I love it. Okay. Perfect. Well, we, Jack, are at the end of our show, but I always like to ask all my guests, do you have any advice for anyone out there, young, trying to pursue a passion or a dream?
Go for it.
Okay.
Just send it. You're going to fail.
Yep.
You're 100% going to fail. You cannot control failure.
Awesome.
It's going to happen, and the best part about failure is you're going to learn. You're going to learn, you're going to be a better person, you're going to be a better athlete, you're going to be a better businessman and woman, you're going to be a better leader. If I were to erase all the mistakes I made in my life, I'd erase the person I am today.
Gotcha.
So send it. Go all the way, chase after it, take risk, have fun with it.
I love it. Excellent. Well, Jack, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I really appreciate you coming.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me, Yoshi. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I hope everybody out there has a spectacular rest of the day.